And for some reason, I recalled that there was a Buddhist center on that road. And just to go backwards, I actually got into Zen Buddhism for a few sessions, and to me it was just, just another example of why I'm not in a religion. Do things for another God, do things for a future, do things for, everything but right now. So I found myself in the parking lot of the Buddhist Center. I've studied religion for a long time, but I've never heard of SGI due to my own naivety. And like he said, I knocked on the window. I thought it was closed, but I saw someone. So I knocked on the window, and evidently I was the shady guy knocking on the window. And they let me in and introduced me to Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and we actually chanted that day. And it took 15 minutes for me to say amen. And for me to question everything, for me to be this kind of person that I am, there was something different. And so the Kawaguchis, the Hatches, they challenged me to say, let's just start with chanting. We'll go through the study later, but in the meantime, you'll learn little bits and pieces. And so I chanted every day. And then it got to the point where, okay, well, let's chant for something. You need to have some goals and problems or things to help, to enhance. And like he said, I work with children with disabilities probably 50 to 60 hours a week. I drive 800 miles a week. I have lots of things I can chant for. So I did. And I did that for a few months. And, it was good. I felt good about my practice, but it wasn't there yet. And I needed something big. I needed something big to change. Well, as I was thinking this, I had gone home back to Michigan, and I visited my family, and I have a mother that has a lot of disabilities, medical. She's suicidal, goes through alcoholism right now, and was in the process of living with my little sister, who was in that kind of volatile relationship. And I went home and, using my concrete thinking, and I talked to them, and finally got to the point where I just sat them two together. They were fighting, and I said, okay, 2 minutes here, 2 minutes here, go. You talk it out, you talk it out. I realized why I was 800 miles away. I was running from that. And I came home, and I can't let this happen anymore. My sister was, ready to go to college, and so I went back, and I'm like, this is what I need to choose for. This is what I need to do. And for me, I needed something. I needed something that I could do. But I had nothing. I thought what I did helped. They were talking, and when I left, it was good. And I'm like, yes, I had the answer. And 2 weeks later, it's back to the same. Her boyfriend just broke up with her. She went through 30 years of an abusive relationship with my father, and so I'm like, wow, this is it. This is going to be another suicide attempt. That's all I could think about, and I just had this knot in my chest. And I talked to my mentors, and they said, chant. You don't have to have the answer to the outcome. You don't have to have the answer to help. Just chant for the best outcome possible. And I chanted hard, morning and night, and 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks later, I look on my sister's Facebook page, and there's a picture of this kitten. And I don't really think anything of it, just that, oh, she got a kitten, okay. I called my grandmother and was like, so what's up with this kitten? My sister, she get a kitten? How's she going to have a kitten? She's going to school. Well, she got it for your mom. I'm like, really? Yeah, you ought to talk to your mom. It's different. I'm like, okay. So I call her, and she answers the phone, and I immediately I recognize the difference. I do not recognize her. She's talking, she's conversing. This is a person that's on 20 pills a day. She's drinking all the time. That day she hadn't drank, and she's telling me all about this kitten, thoroughly and conversing and listening to what I say and just normal conversation, and I feel just so relieved. And so I hang up the phone and I'm continuing to chant, and I get this knot in my stomach again. I call my grandma, and she's like, yeah, she's not doing well. Emily's leaving for college. She's going to be alone. Not able to pay her rent, and we just don't know what to do. I'm just really, really scared that she's going to try to commit suicide. I mean, that's just our ongoing worry. And so I chant my butt off. At this point, I have received my cleansing, and chant. And finally, I don't cry. I don't really show emotions much. I have trouble with that. And one night, I chanted to my cleansing, and I immediately felt tears coming up. And that night, I just cried. And it wasn't a bad cry. It was a happy cry. Like, wow, I'm getting this out. I needed this, And I'm like, I need to call my mom and see what's going on and tell her how I feel and tell her, what I think. And I talked to her, and I just burst out and just bawling, you gotta stop drinking. You gotta stop, living life this way. I can help you. Please. She's like, Michael, I'm fine. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, I'm doing great. I love this kitten. Emily paid for her to get spayed, and Emily's going to college. We finally got her a car, and we're getting ready. I'm really happy. And I'm like, oh. And so for an hour, she literally just talked my ear off. And at this point, it's 12. I got to get up at 6 a.m. And I'm like, okay, I'm really happy you're good now. Okay, I'm comfortable. Now I got to go. And she's like, well, wait, I'm going to tell you. I'm like, no, I just need to know you're okay. So that showed me that, I didn't know what kind of outcome I was chanting for. I didn't know. I was just chanting. And so it happened the outcome was a kitten. Which changed everything. And so, but what I've learned is that, daimoku is something that you have to build up too. And, though things are fine, things can go downhill. That's life. And so I continue to chant to build up, so to speak, my storehouse of daimoku, so that there's enough for her and my kids, and I'm looking at things differently. I'm continuing to develop my study now to fill in the gap. For me, nature in Buddhism was something with common sense. This is just how life works, and it makes sense to me. And so now I'm just filling in the terminology. And that's my story. Thank you.